Nathan Gilmore here again, here to talk about the research process behind the senior seminar paper. Alright, so you've got your text of done, you've either downloaded it off this page or printed it out. You've got your Bible translation of your choice ready. You've got your section from 131 Christians read. What's your next step? Well, the answer is you start to think about what makes me curious about this. Since I am a psychologist, what things in Dunn's text stand out to me? Since I am a music minister, what about his life occurs to me as strange? What was music ministry like in a church that John Donne would have served? If you are an educator of some sort, maybe you can think about the connections between yourself and your students that John Donne's text inspires you to think about. However you go about this, remember that you've got some flexibility for the last three texts, the last three sources on your list. Alright, so don't go in there just looking for John Donne in the computer. Don't just punch that in and then grab the first three things that occur to you. Instead, think about what kinds of sources you could go into. Alright, so if you've got questions of human connection in mind, consider maybe doing a sociology text. If you've got questions of theology in mind, some things that Donne said don't seem quite right, think about some biblical commentaries. In other words, let your research take you where it will. Answer the questions rather than simply trying to fill the requirements. Alright? Now, let's talk about nuts and bolts for a second, and then we'll get back to the big picture stuff. Remember that your citation format, whether that be MLA, APA, University of Chicago, Turabian style, we are going to take that very seriously when we grade your paper. We are going to make sure that the information's all there, that it's in the right format, that the right things are italicized, the right things are in quotation marks. We're going to make sure that you've got footnotes if you need footnotes, citations if you need citations, a bibliography page if you need a bibliography page, so on and so forth. Take the time to make this a respectable and credible public document that you would be able to set before someone and say, this is my professional intellectual work on these very personal questions. Remember that the intellectual and the personal here at Emmanuel College, hopefully we've been teaching you to some extent that those two things are blended together. Don't separate them out. Show people that you can put them together, walk and chew gum at the same time. It'll be impressive. Alright? Now, as far as exploring these questions, obviously one of the things you can do is do some searches on your own in our library catalog, do some searches in Galileo, certainly use our librarians as resources, but jot these things down as they occur to you. Don't wait until you're in the library to start typing things at random, but as you're reading 131 Christians, jot down some phrases, jot down some questions that you have so that when you go into the library, you'll have some material ready. Now, as you are wrapping up the initial research phase of this, I want to emphasize that I don't want the research process to end until March 26th when you've got this thing turned in. In other words, never be afraid to go back to the library, back to Galileo, back to the text of the Bible to find more stuff if more questions occur to you while you are drafting this thing. That's part of the idea of drafting, is that different ideas are going to come to you. You're going to want to do different things with the text. That's great. That's what we want you to do. So start early, get that research going, and have some fun with it. These are big questions. These are the sorts of questions you talked about in your worldview speeches. Now all we want you to do is sit alongside one of the great Christian minds of the last 500 years and think about it with John Donne. Go have an adventure with it.